Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin was born on October 7, 1952, in Leningrad, which is now called St. Petersburg, Russia. He was the youngest of 3 children born to Vladimir Spyridоновich Putin and Maria Ivanovna Shalamova. His father was a factory foreman and a veteran of World War II, while his mother was a factory worker who had endured the immense hardships of the war, including the devastating siege of Leningrad. Both of his older brothers died young, one in infancy and another from illness during the wartime blockade. This left Vladimir as the only surviving child, and he grew up in a modest communal apartment, sharing space with other families, a reality that was common in post-war Soviet life. Despite the struggles and scarcity that surrounded his childhood, he developed an energetic and ambitious personality. His parents instilled in him the value of discipline and hard work, while his environment pushed him to become resilient and determined. As a child, Putin was known for being independent and sometimes difficult to control. His parents often worried about his strong will, which could turn into stubbornness. In his teenage years, he discovered martial arts, beginning with Sambo and later advancing to Judo. He earned a black belt and competed in tournaments, gaining not only physical strength but also discipline and focus. Martial arts became a lifelong passion for him, a way of channeling energy and shaping his personal philosophy. Putin often credited his training with teaching him respect, resilience, and the ability to calculate an opponent's next move, traits that would later define his approach to politics and leadership. Growing up in a city marked by wartime destruction and collective survival also gave him a sense of national pride and toughness, a view of Russia as a country forged in hardship and deserving of strength. Putin's formal education began in Leningrad, where he was considered an average student, not particularly outstanding in his early years. Over time, however, he applied himself with greater determination. By high school, he had developed a serious interest in law and the workings of the state. In 1970, he enrolled at Leningrad State University, one of the top institutions in the Soviet Union, and pursued a degree in law with a focus on international affairs. He graduated in 1975, an achievement that opened the door to his future in government service. While at the university, he came under the influence of Anatoly Sobchak, a professor of law who would later become an important political figure and mentor to him. His years as a student were marked by curiosity about global politics and the mechanisms of power, interests that aligned with the Soviet Union's emphasis on loyalty to the state. Immediately after graduation, Putin joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's intelligence and security agency. His decision to enter this field reflected both ambition and a desire for service. He underwent advanced training in Moscow before being assigned to counterintelligence work. In the early 1980s, he was stationed in Dresden, East Germany, where he served as an intelligence officer. There, he monitored political activities, collected information, and worked to maintain Soviet influence in Eastern Europe. He learned to speak German fluently and gained experience in diplomacy and intelligence gathering. His years in Dresden were not dramatic in the sense of espionage thrillers, but they provided him with skills in observation, analysis, and loyalty, and they solidified his belief in the importance of secrecy and control. These lessons would later shape his approach as a political leader. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked a turning point in Putin's life. Like many Soviet officials, he faced uncertainty about his future. He resigned from the KGB and returned to St. Petersburg, where his career took a new direction. Relying on his connections, particularly with his former professor Anatoly Sobchak, who had become the mayor of St. Petersburg, Putin entered local government service. He began working in the mayor's office, handling foreign relations and business contracts. His work impressed others with his efficiency, organizational skills, and ability to maintain loyalty. Though the 1990s were a time of chaos in Russia, marked by corruption, economic decline, and the rise of oligarchs, Putin's pragmatism and quiet determination helped him rise through the political ranks. By the mid-1990s, Putin had caught the attention of officials in Moscow. In 1996, he moved to the capital and began working in the Kremlin, first in administrative roles and then in security services. In 1998, he was appointed head of the Federal Security Service, the successor to the KGB. This role placed him at the center of power, overseeing intelligence and national security at a time when Russia faced growing instability. In 1999, President Boris Yeltsin named him prime minister, a decision that surprised many because Putin was not widely known by the public. However, Yeltsin and his circle trusted him for his loyalty and efficiency. Later that same year, Yeltsin resigned, and Putin became acting president of the Russian Federation on December 31, 1999. In March 2000, Putin officially won the presidential election, beginning a long period of dominance in Russian politics that continues to this day. His leadership style emphasized centralizing power, restoring state authority, and suppressing political dissent. He sought to stabilize the country after the economic and political chaos of the 1990s. During his first two terms, Russia benefited from rising global oil prices, which boosted the economy, reduced poverty, and allowed him to restore a sense of national pride. Many Russians credited him with bringing stability after years of disorder. He also pursued policies that curtailed the power of oligarchs, bringing business leaders under tighter government control. On the global stage, Putin reasserted Russia as a major power. He opposed Western dominance and NATO expansion, sought closer ties with countries like China, and positioned Russia as a decisive force in conflicts such as the Syrian civil war. In 2014, his annexation of Crimea from Ukraine brought widespread condemnation from the international community but boosted his popularity at home as a defender of Russian interests. His government has also been accused of interfering in foreign elections, conducting cyber attacks, and suppressing human rights, accusations he has consistently denied or dismissed as Western propaganda. Putin's presidency has not been without serious controversies and failures. Critics accuse him of eroding democracy by restricting free press, silencing opposition figures, and creating a system reliant on loyalty and corruption. The Russian economy, though stabilized in his early years, has struggled under the weight of sanctions and overdependence on oil and gas exports. His decision to invade Ukraine in 2022 marked one of the most defining and controversial moves of his career. Intended to expand Russian influence and prevent NATO encroachment, it instead triggered severe international sanctions, unprecedented global isolation, and significant military and civilian casualties. This war reshaped Russia's relationship with the world, bringing both economic strain and social challenges at home. Even after more than 2 decades in power, Putin remains a central figure in world politics. To his supporters, he is the leader who restored Russian pride, defended national interests, and ensured stability in a vast and complex country. To his critics, he is an authoritarian ruler who undermined democracy, fostered corruption, and destabilized international peace. Regardless of perspective, Vladimir Putin's legacy is undeniable. He has shaped modern Russia in ways few leaders have shaped their nations, and his impact on both his country and the wider world will be studied for generations to come.